Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, there's a lot of Sunni Shia debate taking place on the internet because of Iran's response to the Zionist occupiers. So, is Iran finally helping the Palestinian cause? Let's take a look. So, in response to the killing of the leadership of Hezbollah and the more recent invasion of South Lebanon, Iran has responded by sending projectiles into the Zionist occupied land. The Zionists are trying to play this down, whilst the Iranians are trying to play it up. So this has resulted in debate and arguments between Muslims saying Sunnis shouldn't support the Shia, and others saying that we should support the Shia and it's a time of unity and we must unite for the sake of Palestine. Now, first and foremost, this is not a Sunni Shia issue. So let's get that clear. So Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan and all the other Arab states, the Gulf Emirates, all of them are Sunni. But what has their Sunniism got to do with politics? What has their Sunniism got to do with their track record over the past so many decades? Their Sunniism is irrelevant. In the same way, the Shiaism of Iran is irrelevant. Let me explain. So in the case of Iran, Iran fought Iraq for 8 years, from 1980 to 1988. Even though a large part of Iraq's population is Shia, and a lot of the holy sites that the Shia revere are in Iraq, and even though a large number of the Iraqi army is Shia, this didn't stop Iran and Iraq fighting for 8 years, from 1980 to 1988. And when America invaded Iraq in the Second Gulf War, Iran assured America that it would remain neutral and wouldn't interfere. Not only that, they actually assisted the Americans. They confiscated 115 jets from the Iraqi Air Force and kept them and never returned them, giving the Americans a clear access and control of the Iraqi airspace in order to bombard and obliterate and send Iraq into the Stone Age. When America invaded Afghanistan, again Iran chose to stay neutral. And not only that, they cooperated and assisted the Americans in establishing a secular government for Afghanistan. So for the Iranian state, Shiaism is irrelevant when it comes to their foreign relations. And this cooperation goes way before even the establishment of the so-called Islamic Republic of Iran in 1979. Ayatollah had been in discussions with the Americans and gave them assurances that he was not against America, and that in fact America was probably better for the Iranians because they could counter the British influence and they could counter a possible communist influence in that country, because there was a large support for communism in Iran before 1979. And for America, supporting Ayatollah was a better option than allowing Iran to be influenced by these other forces. And when Ayatollah actually left Paris to go to Tehran, yes, this France, who is Islamophobic, who hate Islam, make no secret of that. In fact, during the Balkans War, when Bosnia was being bombarded, the president of France risked his life, François Mitterrand, he risked his life, flew to the Balkans, met with Ali Izetbegovic, the leader of the Bosnians, and got an assurance from him that Bosnia would not become an Islamic state. So how does it make sense that this Islamophobic French state, which risked the life of its president to go to the Balkans War to get an assurance from Ali Izetbegovic that he wouldn't create an Islamic state, on the other hand, will give a military escort to a so-called Islamic leader to create an Islamic state? It doesn't make sense, because they knew that this state would not be Islamic. So this whole Sunni Shia debate is irrelevant, because none of these states are based on Islam, let alone on Sunniism or Shiaism. And their politics is not governed by Sunniism or Shiaism, it's based by national interest, and that is very clear when we look at the events over the last so many decades. Now, this ummah has been played time and time again by rulers who pretend to be on their side, but behind the scenes are 110% on the side of the Western-led world order. And this goes back many decades. For example, when Gamal Nasser came to Egypt, at that time he came out with a lot of anti-American rhetoric. And he had huge support amongst the people that this man was going to liberate Palestine, this man was going to unify the Arab lands. At the time, Sheikh Taqiyuddin Nabhani, an Islamic scholar, said that he was a CIA asset and everything he was doing was actually to the benefit of the Americans. Now today, that's an open secret. In fact, Miles Copeland, who was a CIA operative in the area, wrote a book. In his memoirs, he said, "We put Gamal Nasser in power." And all that rhetoric was just that, rhetoric to fool the people. In today's era, we've got another Gamal Nasser in the form of Sultan Mujaddid Erdogan. So many Muslim scholars and so many Islamic groups were supporting him, even calling him a Mujaddid, that this man is going to protect the Ummah. Yet, out of all the Muslim countries, Turkey has the longest and the strongest bond with the Zionist colony. They even supply the fuel that goes to fuel their air force that kills Muslims in Gaza, in the West Bank and in Lebanon. And not only is the Turkish state doing this, Erdogan's own family members are involved in this. This is the level of treachery that this Ummah has faced. So the Ummah needs to understand that none of these states are based on Islam. So none of these states are ever going to help Palestine. And what has happened over the last 12 months should make it absolutely clear that we have no hope in the UN, we have no hope in the international law, we have no hope in the Western government, we have no hope in the Arab governments, we have no hope in the Iranian government. The hope lies with this Ummah. And this Ummah needs to revive the Islamic Khilafah, because that is the only Islamic political state that Islam has sanctioned, the Prophet ﷺ established in order to establish and protect the deen. No nationalistic state is ever going to do that. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.